Have you ever wanted to sleep in Shrek's swamp, check out the Barbie Mansion, or stay in your favorite actor's summer home? I don't know about you all, but that last one feels really different. Well, you are in luck because now you can. Something very interesting is happening with what's called Airbnb Icons. We stumbled upon this like yesterday, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of information out on it yet, other than this very techie announcement, which I highly recommend checking out.
All right. Thank you all. Oh, wow. These experiences, they captured people's imagination. This is what Airbnb does. And it's what we always have been about. So we asked ourselves,
how can we bring publicity to our site? But essentially, it appears to be this lottery program where you can apply to these special experiences on Airbnb. They will randomly select some people, and then those people will get to do those experiences. For the most part, it looks like they're mainly pushing the up house replica, which, you know, okay, kind of cool, right? Dog friendly. They went to the trouble of suspending it in the air. But there's also spend the night in the Ferrari Museum, crash at the X Mansion, go on tour with Feed. Some of these have prices too, which is funny. I don't know if it's like a inside joke because they're very specific numbers. It will cost you $19 to go on tour with this artist. There's Live Like Bollywood star Janvi Kapoor, where it says in the description, my most cherished childhood memories are spending summers with my family at our coastal oasis, which is why for the first time ever, I'm opening up our home to a few guests to have the family experience. You can stay in the house that they filmed Purple Rain, like in Prince's Purple Rain bedroom, which interesting. But one thing that I did learn is it's not Prince's actual house. It's where they filmed the Purple Rain film. So there's some grace there. Sleeping in a museum looks really cool. You can go VIP with Kevin Hart, which I guess means you can drink some tequila with the man and laugh about stuff. And then this one, which really caught me off guard, join a living room session with Doja Cat. And something about this description is really getting me. Fresh from headlining festivals in my European tour, I'm bringing my very special show directly to you. Music is my passion. I can't wait to share that piece of my world with you in a way you'll never forget. Kick it with me and my cats. Tell me that doesn't sound like it was written by ChatGPT. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe she's like totally cool with this and this is like a fun way for her to, I don't know. But yeah, and apparently these have been happening. Shrek Swamp already happened. Barbie's Malibu Dream House already happened. Ted Lasso's Pub already happened. Houseplant Retreat with Seth Rogen also happened. Hi, I'm Kate. I'm an artist, and this is my series called Cattle Considerations, where I talk about art, culture, and the internet, and generally anything I want to talk about. And don't get me wrong, like I do feel like some of these are really cool, right? And unfortunately, there is a lot of waste that goes into set design because a lot of the things are so nuanced and customized for whatever piece of content they're being built for that they will inevitably be trashed. So I think it's cool that perhaps these experiences are paving the way for some of those sets to be enjoyed for longer, maybe memorialized by fans. I think where's the harm? I don't see the harm in that. But some of the more personal ones where you're paying to hang out with an artist of some sort, I guess, you could argue what's the degree of separation between that and a meet and greet, but something about staying at someone's allegedly old personal family summer home feels a little more out there. They kind of feel like Cameo, but without that digital boundary. And I definitely have some mixed emotions around that. But then, there's the argument to be made okay, what about the secret sessions with Taylor Swift or artists who do similar things like that? Maybe this is just another way for that to be extended to people in more genres or disciplines of art. And I do like that there seems to be more of an emphasis on like in-person things, but it's just not what I was expecting, and I can't quite figure out the motive. I would guess publicity, because none of these have cost really associated with them. And the whole thing about community, like, okay, yeah, maybe I can make that argument. It's nice to see more in-person focused events, but like most of these are for like 2 people, 4 people. I guess it's just bringing more traffic to the Airbnb site. But I think it marks an important shift in Airbnb pivoting to not only becoming a short-term rental space, but also, you know, they've been offering experiences for a while, but I feel like this is a blatant point towards positioning themselves as an entertainment provider. And I am so fascinated. The commodification of the housing market has gone so inflated and out of touch that now just the idea of having a little piece of that, maybe not in Airbnb Icons, but in more of what I'll discuss later in the video, just dreaming of having a place to call home in America is the ultimate, unfortunately now out of touch dream. One could argue that securing a home in America has always been a trademark part of the American dream, but the difference now is that something that was largely feasible for the vast majority of Americans in a widespread demographic of professions is now restricted to a very narrow subset of people and circumstances.
Essentially, as we go down generations, we're seeing that for the last 2 generations, people are making less money on an inflation-adjusted basis. In addition, the cost of buying a home, the cost of pursuing education continues to skyrocket. The social contract that is now no longer in place, and for the first time in the U.S.'s history, a 30-year-old is no longer doing as well as his or her parents were at 30.
I don't think we can talk about Airbnb without thinking about the housing market at large. One of the reasons why I'm so fascinated about this is coming off of the tails of their announcement in fall of last year that the majority of short-term rentals in New York City were banned. New York City passed strict regulations on Airbnbs and short-term rentals last fall, effectively banning them. According to new rules, short-term rental hosts must be present during the time of stay and cannot rent full units. They also only have 2 guests maximum, and the host must register with the city. And the logic behind that was there's too many short-term rentals, so many people struggle to get housing in this city, but the actual effects were the demand still exists for short-term rentals. And so we just saw more of a ballooning in New Jersey Airbnbs, New Jersey rentals. And there's definitely still Airbnbs you can stay at in New York City. There's also talks of those rentals being displaced to places like Craigslist or maybe just less secure platforms. In general, I like the idea of Airbnb as a customer. I like having access to basic kitchen tools and a fridge and just staying in a place that feels a bit more homey, a little less sterile. But it seems to be pretty hit or miss. Like sometimes you'll come to a place and it's super thoughtful. You can tell a person put a lot of care and thought into the place. They might have even lived there before or still live there. And there's a lot of story built into where you're staying, and you might get a special experience that you might not otherwise get. But there's also others in which, on a recent trip I made to California, we called to ask a question about our Airbnb unit on, say, Main Street, to which the host replied, "Which unit on Main Street?" In other words, they were managing so many different properties across this one street that they couldn't even identify us without prodding for more information. Which brings us to the idea of housing as a means to build wealth, and as of recently, entertainment. For the most part, I feel like I don't take huge issue from individuals that have property, or, I feel like it's more of a gray area. But what I do take issue with is empty apartments used purely as investments, apartments owned by corporations, which are sometimes acquired under shady circumstances. Let me show you what I mean. So the corporatization, I can't say that word, you know what I'm trying to say, of NYC real estate has skyrocketed over the past 2 decades. Between 2009 and 2014, corporate acquisition of buildings with 3 or more units tripled. The data also reveals that currently a corporate owner is listed for a whopping 89% of units across New York buildings registered with the Department of Housing, Preservation, and Development. Note that this study is as of 2022. Large corporations often downplay their stake in NYC real estate and center the narrative of small mom-and-pop landlords to oppose legislation that protects the tenants. I don't think we need to be upset about single, people just trying to have the home, or, maybe like a small mom and pop landlord. They are not the problem. There's also this interesting phenomenon, especially around like Midtown, Billionaires Row. It's infamous for having just a bunch of like empty units in these large apartment buildings. And some of that may be attributed to these empty apartments either serving as investment opportunities or even places to launder money. According to this study, 37% of Manhattan properties owned by secretive LLC shell companies. And even if we're not thinking about money laundering, that sort of thing, there are definitely apartments that remain empty for most of the year, for ultra wealthy who have like multiple homes across the world. In this one story, this building had to send out a memo to its residents asking that if you do not receive mail at your residence, please let us know where we can send your bills. Basically just implying that it's an unspoken truth that all of you do not actually live here. So who are these corporations that are buying up housing and making cities and just America unaffordable to the majority of people? One of those corporations is most definitely Blackstone. Blackstone is a private equity firm, and since their start in 1985, they have reached $1 trillion in assets, and a lot of that can be attributed to real estate investments. As a private equity firm, I think it's safe to say that their top value is making money. If you go on their site, they talk about some of their real estate portfolio. There's this huge conglomerate in the Lower East Side called Stuytown. As they say, Stuytown, Peter Cooper Village, is a high-quality apartment community totaling over 11,000 units. Okay. And then it says, in collaboration with the city of New York, we preserved 5,000 affordable units for 20 years through our acquisition. Very interesting. How charitable of you, Stuytown. Let's just take a look at their website. My rent's probably going to go up soon. I could be on the market, right? Do you want to guess how much 1 bed, 1 bath is? Like the lowest cost apartment that's currently available across Stuytown, owned by Blackstone. How about $4,862? That's a lot of money. I hate to say it, but just because you allegedly provided 5,000 affordable units at one point, I call me crazy, but I don't think that justifies this. God forbid you have a child or anything and you need a 2-bedroom, because then for the lowest priced 2-bed, 1 bath, we're starting at $5,455, nearly $5,500 for a 2-bedroom. What? Absolutely bananas. I feel like we should know by now that this is wrong. We're one of the lucky ones that lives in a rent stabilized apartment. But even so, I'm shaking in my boots because it was recently decided by the 9 mayoral appointees that even rent stabilized apartments are going to likely increase at the highest percentage possible starting next year. And this isn't even going into the ridiculousness that is the application process, that is the competitiveness, the crazy like credit checks and standards of sometimes making like 70x times the rent just to apply. We had to go through a third party guarantor service, and we have to continue to pay them every time that we renew a lease, a lump sum of money, even though we've proven time and time again we can pay our rent. It just doesn't make sense other than people want money. I find myself often like scrolling through Zillow trying to find any semblance of hope of owning a home in the future, like a kid going through an American Girl doll magazine. Obviously, it's probably not going to happen in the city, but ideally it would be nice to be near music culture or remotely somewhere where it's accessible. But even then, it feels near impossible on my like very normal regular person salary. There's this strange therapy and also despair that I get from watching and reading Architectural Digest. Those little tours with the celebs just going through about the custom beautiful finishes of their homes. There's this strange allure of shows like Selling Sunset, where yes, we're getting the drama, but we're also getting these people who have so many different homes bidding for these beautiful, enormous properties for a single family. And there's so many different ones. There's Selling the OC, there's the agency, there's $1 Million Listing. Housing, which ideally should be a human right, repackaged as aspirational entertainment reserved for the lucky few, collecting houses like their designer bags. I think for many it's a matter of survival and security, and for some it's just another asset in a portfolio. It's pretty gut-wrenching to see. But I guess we shouldn't be surprised in a country where only recently we decided to put a cap on life-saving medication. That's a whole nother video, but yeah, what a world. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on any and all of that, especially like Airbnb Icons. That's a lot less serious, I feel like, than the latter half of this video, but it is interesting to me. And I don't know if I'm the only one who's a little like skeptical about it. I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, bye.